everybody, welcome back to the channel. I know it has been quite the amount of time since we have last talked, so before we get into today's video, which will be on the longer side, by the way, but before we get into any of that, let me explain a little bit of why I was gone. I had a burnout with Trainz and recording for YouTube videos. Also had a move that I had to do, so definitely a lot going on. So I took a break from Trainz and stuff, started playing some other games, got hooked on other games, and have finally made it back to the Trainz world. So I do have plenty of videos to catch up on. Some new routes, some old routes, and some old content that I actually recorded, but I never got the chance to publish. So without further ado, today's video. So we are going to be doing a video in anticipation of a rather soon, hopefully, release on Trainz Forge. This one's going to be the Canadian Pacific 2816. For those of you who don't know, it's a 464 Hudson locomotive, and it is famous for just completing its trip all the way from Calgary, Alberta, in Canada, all the way down to Mexico City, Mexico, and back. So that spans Canada, America, and Mexico. So as far as I'm aware, it's the longest distance traveled by any steam locomotive. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not entirely sure on that, but it is the longest distance that I personally know of. Anyway, with that out of the way, we're going to be running a locomotive that's similar. Unfortunately, I do not have access to the 2816 model that is being created. That is being created by a guy named Ace Raziel, but unfortunately, I do not have access to the beta. However, we are going to be using a locomotive and similar. I'm going to turn off the music in the game so I can talk. But we are going to be using this fine locomotive, also from Trainz Forge, also a very recent release. It is the 464 Nickel Plate Road Hudson. There are plenty of differences between the two. For those of you who are knowledgeable on the differences, by all means, go for it in the comments. I'm not gonna really get into all the differences and whatnot, because honestly, I really don't need to. We're just gonna be going. We're just gonna be driving the route with this. Yes, I know that there's a freeware Royal Hudson on the DLS. It's an old Bennial locomotive. The reasons that I'm not going to use it are that it's a dated model, and that I think the video could benefit from more like in-cab stuff and whatnot. So we're going to be using this particular engine, and you know, if you want to say that it's not prototypical and all that, go for it. But oh well. Behind it, we've got two Canadian Pacific Pac-Man logo F3s. These are going to be used mainly for dynamic braking. The Hudson up here will be more than capable of hauling this locomotive. This particular part of the route goes from here, which, by the way, is just west of Calgary. Calgary is about 30 miles off that way. And it goes all the way to Banff and onward. This is a set of 3 routes that'll go from here all the way to just west of Revelstoke. So I want to say that's over 200 miles. So definitely, if you're into the more long, like through sessions, by all means, give it a go. They do have their own AI sessions if you're interested, but they are a little dated. These are a little bit older of routes, but they do connect, and you can go from here all the way to there. But without further ado, let's kind of explain it. So we got the Hudson, we got the diesels for dynamics. These are more or less to represent the tool car and what's it called? Tool car, power car, and then this is more or less a representation of the what was it? The IMAX film Rocky Mountain Express consist. Again, it's just nickel plate cars. Sorry, I don't have access to the pack, but the pack that is releasing on Trainz Forge will include the engine, He has created the F units, which this is just speculation, but I will assume will be released as a freeware on the Diesels section of their website, and then it includes a couple of box cars, a power car, which is more or less about the size of this box car, a baggage car, 2 coaches, a sleeper, and a observation car. For this consist, actually 1 car beyond what it should be, but I created this consist to test to see if it could run over the whole route. Just using the steam engine and not using the diesels, it does. The only time I will be using these diesels is for dynamic braking, as in real life they would have a diesel or 2 behind it to assist it with going downhill. That way you don't wear out the brakes on the engine or the consist. They are very expensive, and it's much easier to replace the parts and stuff on diesel than it is to renovate these old cars that they have or the steam engine. So without further ado, let's kind of get into it. My apologies if the engine sounds overrule my voice. I'm just going to put that out there. I'll try and stay out of cab as much as I can, but without further ado, we'll get it going and then we'll talk more. Well, I believe I'm being sucked into the portal. I might have put this a little bit close to the thing, so let's edit this so I don't get sucked into the portal. I was hoping that I wouldn't get sucked into the portal, but alright, that should be sufficient to get away from the portal. Alright, so I believe it's F2 to get back into the game. Yep, it is. Alright, so we're starting it up here. So far, so good. Alright, now we're cooking. that. We're going a little bit over the speed limit here. But we're not going to be worried about speeding in this case. Sorry for you guys that are expecting it to be a prototypical run. Unfortunately with this one, unless you guys would like to be standing here, or rather sitting here watching me for a couple of hours on end just to get done this segment, we're going to be speeding, and for the most part we're not even going to be following this train. We're going to kind of let it do its thing, and then we are going to be doing our own thing, exploring the route. Unfortunately, that's just kind of what we have to do in this scenario. So, without further ado, we're going to kind of let this coast do its thing. But we're going to be exploring the route. I don't know many of the spots on this route, to be honest with you. I'm not anywhere in Canada, so this is not my area of expertise. I'm doing this as a more or less homage to the new upcoming steam locomotive. When the CP2816 does get released, I do intend on doing a full coverage of this route. You know, we're going to be starting west of Revelstoke, and then we are going to be going all the way to here. So if you do want to see that, it's not going to be much commentary for me. It's going to be more or less a muted mic of me just driving. But I will upload the whole entire session for those of you that are interested. But while we let this more or less do its thing here, we're going to kind of zoom in ahead, maybe let it run past us one more time. So here we go. And to be completely honest, I don't think that looks too out of place to begin with. I think it looks perfectly fine. It's been a blast driving it. Honestly, for those of you who want to get into prototypical running but really don't have the know-how for it, this is a very great locomotive to start learning on. Because in real life, this engine was actually designed to create more steam than what it uses. So it is much more forgiving, and they've captured that essence in this game very well, because you are able to make some oopsies with the engine and still not get penalized for it. On some of the engines, specifically K&L engines, when you mess up, if your steam pressure drops too much, it's gone. You can't get it back. With this engine, as long as you're moving, this engine will be your best friend. Very easy to get steam pressure up or lower. So, very, very, very nice. Very easy engine overall. But anyway, let's, you've already seen a cab, so this isn't an engine review. We'll kind of blow the whistle here so you can hear it. And then this is the whistle, or bell. Alright, so that's the engine, that's the consist. Alright, so we're going to leave the consist go here to do its own thing. We're going to give it a little bit more coal here. Alright, so there's really not much commentary to this. I really, like I said, don't know the route too well, but we'll kind of be just more or less glancing over the route in a first-person view, more or less what you would see from the train, and we'll kind of do this for the whole route, and then eventually get back to the locomotive. I'll try and manage its speed the best I can while we're going about it. Let's see if I can... Oh, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to hit it. This one. Alright. Turn up the render distance. I definitely wouldn't recommend doing that with a lower end graphics card. This is a very big route. And I do have the tree specs down to accommodate for the render distance. But even so, my last session I was actually using a very detailed route that needed the render distance down that low. On this one, actually, we could probably get away with turning the trees up and everything. This route isn't that detailed, but I was running the new Pennsylvania and Berwind route, and that thing is detailed to the point where even me with my 4080 get crippled, so definitely don't recommend running that with a low-end graphics card. You'll definitely suffer for it, but anywho, so going down the line here, we got lots of farmland, lots of open running. I believe this is the part of the route that the engine, if we're referring to the Rocky Mountain Express movie, the 100 miles or 500 miles, I forget what it is, but it's the famous song on there that you hear towards the end of the clip, but it's running down here going like 50 or 60. Off in the distance here, you can start to see what we're going to get into. That the route does continue all the way down there, so it is a monster of a route, hence the lack of detail. But for those of you who are looking to make it more of a detailed route, you can definitely add stuff, but this for me does the job perfectly. I don't really need it to be something crazy detailed. It gets the point across. Honestly, I'm here for that view. Like, look at that. That's just awesome. Even that way, it's beautiful. I'd love to have a home here. Alright, continuing on, we got a lot of ups, lots of downs. Pretty par for the course. Slow it down a little bit here. Alright, so kind of getting up into some hills here. Got some lush greens growing there. Lots of grain fields. Definitely lots of up and down. I don't know if you can see it, but definitely going to work the engine in a lot of different places. So that's going to be a fun one to go through. Kind of reminds me of another route that I was using for a while, called the Bear Creek and South Jackson. The eastern end of that route is very hilly like this. It's called the roller coaster section because it's very up and down and up and down and up and down. And then you get to the mountains and it's a 2% grade all the way to the top. But continuing on, we got lots of really nice farmlands, lots of grade crossings. Got some fencing and stuff going on. Oh, nope, that was just graphics card artifacts. My mistake. We got some little ponds and whatnot here. That's nice. Alright, getting into some more up and down hill sections. Nice along the creek shots here. And now it looks like we're going actually into the mountains, which is nice. We've kind of transitioned from farmlands there to forest. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And as we saw in the beginning, it looks like this route does have some industrial stuff, so you could get away with some switching and stuff. It's a nice little waterfall here. I like the moving stuff on it. Alright, going into the mountains here. Let's just stop to admire this view. This is what I love most about these routes. Like, you got the sun setting over there. It's just, what a cool view, man. That's just, honestly, beautiful for run-throughs. Beautiful. Alright, I'm going to try and balance this out so you can see the most up ahead, but I can still kind of steer with my stick here, so that's what we're going to get here. Alright, going on some bends. One thing I did notice with this route, the details in terms of the track bends aren't exactly accurate. There's some turns that are a lot steeper than they should be. So if you really are nitpicky about that kind of thing, then you can go through and change it. Me personally, don't use this route enough to fix it, but if it bugs you, you can definitely fix it. But like I said, we got some industry here, we got lots of nice scenery. Honestly, the scenery is probably the best part about the route. Again, more industries, definitely lots of yard and switching action that you can do. Definitely something that I would expect from a long route. It's bound to have some industry. Now we're getting into definitely more mountain stuff, so we're going to be beginning our climb up to towards Banff at this point. But definitely sensing a theme of up and down and up and down. Going in here, a lot more of the same, really. Nice cool actions with throughways with this. As you can see, we're on a 1.5, 2.5% grade, so lots of up, lots of down. Nice little quarry off to the right, some more yards. Definitely would be nice if I filled it out, or if I joined an AI session where it has a bunch of other trains running. That would definitely add to the funness of the route for sure. Alright, give the things some more juice. Train's still running, by the way. I have not stopped the run of this train. Just definitely sped ahead by a couple miles. Nice bridge there, nice highway. The cars are animated, so that's nice. We stopped to admire our view here. Definitely cool views. It's one of the things I'm looking forward to the most when running the 2816 when it gets released, is just running it through these views. Absolutely incredible. Alright, moving on. Some nice scenery. It's the nice thing about this route is it's detailed where it needs to be, and then not detailed where it doesn't need to be. The only complaint I really have with the route is Banff, but that's not really to do with this route, more as it's to do with the year in which it was created. Not a lot of good assets. It's an older route. I think this was made, it was either Tane or 2019, I forget, but the thing is, when you get into these bigger routes, they tend to care less about the details and more of just getting the sheer size of it. So a lot of smaller things are overlooked. And when it comes to details, you're not really going to get much. But overall, just look at this. Incredible. You would think that that's just a backdrop, but if I like zoom out, like we can go to those mountains. Then what's even cooler is behind those mountains. Like, let's just go up to one of these peaks here. Now, a typical thing, it would stop. Like, they would, after this, it would just cut out because your train's going to be running, like, down there. That's where your train is. And then this route, it's different because you go to this side of the mountain where there is no trains running, and boom, you got even more. Like look at that, and it's not nearly as detailed, but like still, that's quite the amount of detail that they go through. And the cool thing is they have like some, I don't know what this is. I don't know why it's all mapped out like this, but there's definitely some stuff that was going on, like stuff that they had planned. So very cool, very, very unique, especially for a route of this size. I'm surprised that they continued it much past the mountains, but definitely a very cool and unique thing to do for sure, especially on a route that doesn't really require that. Like that is just amazing, man. It's really, really cool. But anyway, let's get back to what matters here. Let's see. Yeah, we were right there. So, all right, continuing on. Still going down here. I'm gonna speed through a lot of this stuff, just because there's a lot more to explore. We're not really anywhere close to being done with the route. As you can see, I'm a little laggy now. Once you get into the mountains, you have a lot of trees that you have to render, a lot of distance that you have to render, and unfortunately, we are getting ever closer to Banff, which means that I'm rendering in buildings at this point too. So definitely a route that will cripple a GPU. Looks like here we got more industry, which is nice to see. And we actually got some pretty cool 3D assets that are actually animated. That's nice. We got more highway stuff. That's pretty neat. Some animated stuff, some non-animated stuff. That's pretty cool. I'm actually going to have to turn down my render quality here because it's getting to the point where I can't even do much. I'm going to turn down the tree detail here and the scenery detail. I'm going to sacrifice that too. My apologies. It's going to boot up stuff again. Hopefully save on the... See how laggy it is? It's because I'm getting into town here and it's going to just take a while to render everything. So we're going to have to sacrifice the views of the mountains. It really does suck, but we're going to start to lose some of the scenery here. So as you can see, we've lost some of the mountains in the background. Unfortunately, that's just the way it's going to have to be. Can't exactly show you the route with it lagging so bad. So here we got our first town. A little bit of an industry going on. Looks mainly like a milling facility for logs and lumber. So that's pretty neat. Pretty neat stuff. Over here we've got actually, I wonder if this is Banff. This is Banff, that's why. Alright. That would explain why we're chugging so bad. So this is Banff. This is the town I was talking about. Lots of detail, but it's the closer you look, the worse it is, kind of a thing. Like no yards, no cars, that kind of thing. But you got to figure that this is a very big town, so you know they do what they can. But we're gonna follow the rail yard into here a little bit. Oh my goodness, haven't been following the train and we're up to 65 miles an hour. This is the station. So in real life, I do know that the Rocky Mountaineer, I believe it is, will stop here. This is where their expeditions begin, and they go from here, I believe, into Vancouver, I think. I don't know. They go through the Rocky Mountains and the Selkirk Mountains, and it's definitely a very, very cool ride. So neat. They do have a station here. I don't know if it's accurate. It looks like it's actually a couple of stations that are meshed together, possibly. It does appear like it's just meshed together. But anyway, not the most accurate thing. It looks like we're missing some meshes, but details, details. Got a fire truck here, pretty cool. I will explore the town here. We got a thing in progress. Lots of buildings. For the sake of smoothness here, I'm actually going to turn down the distance a little bit more so we can get a view of town and not have to render in everything outside of the town. Lots of assets. Lots of assets. You got roads galore, hotels, all kinds of different buildings here, ranging in color, tallness, size, all kinds of stuff. And if we work our way up here, I believe it is somewhere up here in the mountains, you've got the ever famous Fairmont Hotel. It's somewhere here. Forget exactly where, but it's somewhere. Now we're trying to find it, but I'm not having much luck. It's somewhere in here. Oh, there it is. I was like, I know it's off here somewhere. So we do have the hotel here, and it's not too shabby. It's really not too shabby. We got a decent model. It's very well. I mean, it's three-dimensional, but it's very two-dimensional in terms of modern-day objects. You can definitely tell it's a little bit dated of an asset. If I had to guess, it was probably created just for this map, so you can kind of get an idea of how old the route is just based off of the building. But pretty neat, you do have it here. And we'll kind of give you a view here, what you would see from at least the ground. Let's, just for the sake of showing you what it has to offer. That's the view that you get, so pretty neat. Alright, that's enough with Banff. You definitely have a lot of stuff that you can explore. There's even a golf course and stuff here. Very neat town. Definitely will cripple your GPU. I will definitely give you that. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. Alright, but anyway, moving on. So, moving on from Banff, we're heading, this is really the key to the Rockies here. So we're already in the Rockies, but now we're really getting into like the mountains. The rest was more or less a valley getting up into here. Now we begin the actual climb. But here I just want to point out that here's where you start getting those really wonky turns. So if you look here, it's should be a pretty, smooth turn, but it's the little details. Like they could have smoothed out the curve, but it's like really steep here in one, and then it like straightens out to like a little tiny easy curve. Like right here, it's barely a curve at all, and then all of a sudden it goes right back to a curve. So it's just those little things that just kind of annoy the crap out of me. Especially if you're running a train at speed and then all of a sudden you see it like go through a really sharp turn. Even if you're following the speed limit, like this curve right here might be rated at 10 miles an hour, with given how steep it is of a turn. And you're going to expect a train to be going like 30 or 40 around it. So it looks very goofy. But anyway, we're into the mountains here. I do apologize for the length of this. I know that you guys like shorter videos. But continuing on, glancing over a lot of the stuff here. So my apologies there. Got some really nice skies up ahead. Alright, so more valleys. We're more or less hugging the valley until we get to the mountains up ahead, but plenty of lumber industry around here. Believe it or not, even though it looks flat, we have been gaining a decent amount of altitude the entire time. Alright, another yard. Looks like we do have a Y here. Okay, so this is just a Y. Interesting. Oh, it's weird little details like that that really intrigue me. Like you have the station turning crew Y here, so that's pretty interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm guessing this is to disengage the helpers that help it up the grades up ahead. Alright, and it looks like we have completed that route. So you got Banff right here. It goes up, and then ahead would be the Rocky Mountains. So pretty neat. You can combine this route and the next route and the next route after that to make one gigantic route. It's doable, but I definitely would not recommend doing so. It is just such a long route that you will absolutely decimate your loading times. Like, it's one thing to have a long route, but it's another one to have something like the UMR routes where it takes like 20 minutes just to load your stupid session. That's crazy. But anyway, we're gonna catch up to our train here. I do appreciate you guys for watching. We'll try and run this train a little farther, but I'm gonna cut it off at around 45 minutes, hopefully. Depending on how I'm feeling, I'm kind of tired, so we'll see. So there's another thing that I noticed. The grades definitely have some hard switches. Like right there, you go from a 1 point something % downgrade to like flat, so you can see the car kind of like jump from grade to grade. It's little stuff like that with these bigger routes that you're gonna have to kind of watch and fix at your own pace here. But overall, if you're just looking for like shots or just run-throughs, like you can't beat something like that. That just looks awesome. That's such a cool shot, man. More of that. It's just a beautiful route. Beautiful route. I don't know how far I am from Banff. Probably way too far. Yeah, Banff is right there, and we're over here. We're in a quarter of the route. So, just to give you an idea of the sheer size of this video's been going now for 40 minutes. We've been driving now for about 30 minutes, and we're only a quarter of the way through. So, just to put that into perspective, it would be like an hour and a half session, and if we're doing it with like actual like other things involved with it, like other freight trains and stuff where we gotta wait on stuff, it's like a solid 2.5 to 3 hours just per this route. So if we do run-throughs of it, we're definitely gonna be doing it in chunks. We're not doing it all in one go. Maybe I'll do a live stream of it, I don't know. Alright, well there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I did try my best to give you an overview of the route. I'm gonna kind of end it here with, I don't know if you'll be able to see the train, but we'll see if we can. Yeah, train's somewhere down there. Let's see if we can turn up the thing to see it here. Maybe we can speed it up here. Oh, I hear it. Oh, there it is. It's like, I know it's in the view. So it's so far out there that it doesn't even render in trains. And keep in mind, this is maxed out in settings. So it's such a big route that even like this small details like that you want to see don't even render in until you're like right on top of them. So pretty neat. You can see the train way down there. The view to come. That's a pretty cool thing. I might even screenshot that, to be honest. That's just very, very cool. Alright, so the video's gone on long enough, folks, so I do appreciate you guys coming with me to explore this route. Thank you again for supporting the channel with views. I don't ever ask for money with any of these, but definitely cool to see you guys come back and watch even when I've been gone for quite some time. So very much appreciated. Thank you guys for everything. And without further ado, enjoy the rest of your nights, days, whatever it is, whatever time you get done watching this. So it's been a pleasure, guys. You have a great one, and I will catch you guys in the next video.